Okay, I would like to call the September 20th, 2022 Montezuma-Cortez School District Board meeting to order. Deb, if you can call for the roll call. Oh, I'm sorry, at 6:01.
And right after, go off the screen. Lake Frazier.
Here.
Stacy Hall. Here. Jeanette Hart.
Here.
Sherry Noyes.
Here.
Ed Rice.
Here.
Cody Wells.
Here.
Sherry Wright.
Here.
And we have two board members that are online. I'll get them up and running before we vote.
Okay, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lost away.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would like to just take a moment of silence for a past board member who has recently passed away, Mr. Tim Lanier. He was a board member for 12 years. If we could just take a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you. Right. Okay, can I get a motion to set the agenda?
Make the motion that we set the agenda.
I second. Voting should be available.
Somebody else too.
Ms. Hart, how do you vote?
Change the agenda. Oh,
Aye.
this action item.
Mr. Wright, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
I have to get mine verbally too.
To
Mine.
Sure.
Mine's not coming up.
Add it up. It's coming up for me yet, so.
See if it's me. It's me. It's me. It's me.
It's you?
Yeah.
Okay, so discussion on the agenda.
We don't have our vote in yet.
Oh, for the
The agenda, we don't have to vote in. Oh, I guess, never
no,
mind.
we're yeah,
Go ahead.
have a little bit of a discussion, please. Okay, do you want to do that one?
Hey, everyone, it's Dave.
I'm doing when I get down there.
No, we have to do it now.
Okay, can I amend my emotion, please?
No, we're talking about it now. We haven't.
We
voted
know,
yet.
well, yeah, we have, but I would like to amend my motion to action item B, C, where it says health benefit plan. And I would like to move it to an action item and make our work session a special meeting in November, because we do not have our stop loss information at this time. Oh, in October, sorry, I'm skipping ahead.
October 4th is already a special meeting.
Okay, good. So I'd like to put that on as an action item to accept it at that time. So Stacy, do you second my amendment?
Yes. I second that. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Reason being is we don't have quite everything in for us to make a sound decision. We just have one more thing we're waiting on. So if we could, they will have that by that next meeting.
However, we'll still have a presentation, but just not an action item.
Okay. Okay, Deb, you can call for the question.
Voting is available. Ms. Wright, you
Do we have to
stay,
go?
yes, your vote?
Do we have to go in and change our vote?
No, yours is good. As long as you didn't change your mind. Ms. Hart,
Because it's not, I'm not already saying.
it shows you voted on my side.
Oh,
Ms. Hart, do you keep your vote the same?
hey,
Oh, it just popped up. Mr. Rice,
For some reason I'm out of there. I don't know what's going on. So,
what do you vote?
aye.
Thank you. We're doing so good with this. The vote passes unanimously.
Okay, presentations. The National Gear Up Week, September 26th to the 30th. Ty Rogers from the MCHS Pre-Collegiate, he's the Pre-Collegiate Advisor.
Hi. Hi. Thanks for having me. I wanted to just highlight a few things and speak about the program that I've been running at MCHS for the past, this is going into its 5th year. Some of you may have seen me present previously, but I'd be happy to get into further detail one-on-one afterwards. Basically, Gear Up is, Colorado Gear Up is gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programming. It's a federal grant administered to the Colorado Department of Higher Education and then assigned to just 15 schools in the state. So we're in pretty select company. And only 2 schools in the Western Slope-ish area, us and Delta. So we're quite removed from the majority of the schools. The program is primarily designed to serve first generation and low income students and try to assist them with matriculating into college or some other post-secondary degree certificate kind of accreditation. And that's a big part of what we've got. So I've got, just for example, I've got a proclamation from the governor, and I went last week to city council to get a proclamation from the mayor, just trying to spread the word. And so National Gear Up Week is a week that there's Gear Up in every state in the country, and it operates in different ways. But the week is designed to just kind of spread the word and to celebrate our successes. And some of the things I'd like to highlight that might be specific is that Gear Up here in MCHS works with students from their freshman year through their first year of undergraduate studies. So it works with them past their graduation and making sure that they're off to the right start when they get to college. Last year, Gear Up matriculated about 80 to 90% of its students into undergraduate school or some other degree-seeking program. The average for small rural schools, and I have some information here from the Department of Education, small rural schools, generally speaking, are about 43%. So that's just speaking to our successes of getting students there, hopefully with the continued work. My first cohort of students in undergraduate school is this year, so I'm getting to make sure that they're off to the right start and checking in with them. And that's been really exciting to see the kids that I've known since their freshman year and are off to college. I'm actually headed to a field trip to CSU at the end of the week. I'm excited to see some of the students that are there that are excited to come and see the field trip of all of the high school students. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Gear Up is just here and it's trying to help. It's a 7-year grant cycle. So this is the first year that it didn't recruit freshmen. And part of that design is to say that every student who enters the program is seen through to graduation. So it's not going to take on somebody and then leave them halfway. And then it also comes with a scholarship. So that's another incentive to try and promote student participation over the many years of workshops and one-on-one and mentoring that I get to work with the kids. Yeah, so that's Gear Up, and I just am happy to come and say hello and tell you what I do, and happy to be there. Yes.
How many students do you have right now?
So I've had about, every year I've never been able to max out my allotted numbers of students, and I've only had about 50 per class. So right now I've got about 150 in the school, and I've got about 30 on my caseload that are in undergraduate school. So all of the MCHS students that went to out-of-state schools that were in Gear Up, I'm still working with. And then I'm sharing, like I've been assigned Fort Lewis, so some kids from Delta that came to Fort Lewis are now my caseload.
Okay, and what's your max? If you've never.
Well, they had allotted me 75
okay.
each year, and I've never been able to reach that.
Okay.
Per class?
Yes, per class. Yeah. So every year for the past 4 years, I've recruited in the freshman class. And I got a few spots that I'm going to let in a few sophomores and juniors this year because kids have moved away. And so I've still got some reserve. But I think that's part of them budgeting to say, hey, we can't take in more students than we have scholarship money for. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, anybody else?
Okay.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
the information. Thank you.
Yeah, did you get a picture?
I did. All right.
My boss.
Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the August 16th, 2022 meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the August 16, 2022 meeting. Second.
Okay, any corrections, comments? If not, Deb, you can call.
Online voting is now open.
Am I set up yet?
No.
Okay.
Ms. Hart, you might be, you're on, okay.
No, I'm not on.
You're not on.
Did you get it done?
How is your vote?
That's what I was trying to say.
Am I up on there, Deb?
This is right.
No.
See.
How do I vote? Yes.
Mr. Rice,
Yes.
you say it passes unanimously.
Okay, can I get a motion for the approval of the special meeting minutes held on September 6th of 2022.
I make a motion to approve the special minutes for September 6th, 2022.
Second.
Right. No changes, no concerns? Okay, if you can call for that, Deb.
Okay, voting is now open. Ms. Hart, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Rice, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mrs. Wright, how do you vote?
Yes.
And it passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our reports. Any celebration reports?
Sounds like our athletes been doing very well.
Our student athletes have been doing well. Our golf team placed second today at the golf tournament, and their Plu won the tournament with a 68.
So is he in state now?
What's that?
Is he in state?
The entire team qualifies for
Okay.
state. The first two teams that place at every region qualify their entire
Okay.
team for state. So, yeah, but they're shooting a 68 on a
That's good.
72 par course. He's
He'll be shooting 102.
We've got
pretty good. The football team's doing well. The softball team's doing well. Yeah, volleyball team's doing real well, so.
How's
I
the football-
haven't seen any cross country.
how's the football player that got hurt too?
Yeah, we did have a football player that got hurt pretty bad in Hotchkiss. But I spoke with his mom. I know them personally, and he's doing pretty well for the injury that he had.
I think our Devo bike raiders, I think they're PRing, I think.
Yeah, the Evo kids are doing really well.
Doing well, I'm glad to see that you have that.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, how many kids are doing that, Miss Sock?
We've got, there's about 9 that are racing every weekend, so this next race, we're headed up to Aspen, and 2 weeks ago, I was at Eagle, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're doing really.
these are long trips too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's never anything local. So
Yeah.
it's always a 10, 12-hour drive for an hour
I
race.
think most of them are less than that.
It is great,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, okay. Any other celebration reports? All right, we will move on to item B, the superintendent's report.
Good evening, board. First, I would like to reintroduce Emily Moreland. Emily was unanimously chosen as the high school principal. You will recall that I had placed her as an interim principal back in August. And so now she's officially official. So congratulations, Emily.
Welcome.
Student attendance, I have an attendance committee. Jay Wood is on that, MB McAfee, Opinion Project, Kelly Willis, Elizabeth Wall, who's here tonight, was in our last meeting, and Jeff Wilson, who's here tonight, and Michael and Wayne. Dwight
Yes.
were present in their own part of it, and we're working very hard with the tribe to make sure that we have good attendance. I met with Education Re-Envision, which is a BOCES out of the Front Range. And what was interesting about the guy, it's online school stuff, but it's more along the STEM offerings. And what was interesting, he goes, "What about Mana? What are you going to do with Mana?" And he wanted to tour Mana, and he is interested in possibly putting something together to purchase the building. I've got a couple emails from him today that I need to get with Kyle on. He would like to see the floor plan for Manon. And I know that we do have that. I attended the DAC meeting as an observer. Kyle and Jim ran the DAC meeting, and it was really good. We had some comments about the attendance letter that I sent out that quite frankly startled me. One lady said, "I'm glad that that letter went out. I didn't realize how many days my kid had missed. And thank you for putting that together. It was very personalized." And I went, wow, okay, that was a good one. We had our first CSE with Michael and Dwight. You were there. Yeah, you were there. Yeah. And Jeff brought a lot to the table with that CSE meeting. Thank you for the collaboration. You know, it's been 15 years since I've been to one, and you had never been to one. So it was like feeling along to see, make sure that we answered all questions. There was some amount of confusion about the Manal walkthrough last week, and I ended up taking Lindrith and Michael and Dwight to, that was all up to Jeff. Did you join us? You didn't join us on that one. And so they looked at Manal and were amazed to go down in the breaches.
Dungeon.
Down in the dungeons. President Noyes and I visited with Barbara McLaughlin. She's our representative from Durango. A lot about funding. We talked about the special ed funding, and Kyle actually gave me a little bit of an update on that. We get a little bit more than one PPOR, but not a lot. So it still doesn't cover the cost that we put into that particular group of kids. And that was one of our conversations with Barbara. Also the conversation about para and what they can do with that whole para situation to allow people like myself to continue working. I met with the Cortez Teachers Association, and that was a very good meeting, very productive. We went through a lot of issues with them that were, then they quite frankly went pretty quickly. And I enjoy meeting with them. Yesterday afternoon, I had the first Superintendent's Advisory Council, and it went well. I had all of my directors, all of my assistants, and all of those folks lined up and working, and it was a very good system. Lindrith, I do want to recognize that you're here. This is, I think, the first time I've seen a tribal councilman at one of our board meetings. I appreciate that, and I will, if you would, take a minute or so to just say hi to everybody. And it's kind of out of the norm to do that, but I will front you on that.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Always a pleasure to come together and make communication. Again, I want to reach out to Tom Burris to go a long ways communicating. That is a very good plus. And plus that, make the work in harmony. Education is one of our core priorities that we have on our reservation. In fact, it's probably number one. As we just got done having a awards to one of our tribal members that achieved a milestone dealing with future developments. Again, with that, we need more individuals like that to be competitive with outside society and also come back and utilize the expertise that they have learned through education to be a part. This is where we come together, RAWIN as well as the Yukon tribe. It's been a while since we saw this. Again, with our colleagues here to my left and also to my right, we're going to make this become what it is, and we're going to make success out of it. Again, all due respect, it's always an honor and pleasure to speak with you and be a part of it, because we're all in it together. Like I always say, many times we have a discussion, Toyota is actually your home too. Because we all live on this Four Corners area and City of Cortez as well as mine. So again, Mr. Boris, I really appreciate your coming together and making and finding tune the responsibilities we have. Again, for the board here, again, great honor. I know how it is to sit back there as well. And sometimes it can be challenging. Nothing personal. So again, I want to rest assured, thank you. give me this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Sorry for breaking from what protocol, but it
It's
was,
important, yes.
okay. And then the last thing we talked about with the Superintendent's Advisory Council was what I talked to you last time about the calendar. And I gave that task to them, and again, Jim and Kyle are going, yes, you go. So and it starts out being fun. I had some questions from one of the committee today about, can we move graduation? I said, well, you move graduation from Memorial Day and you're going to gather a lot of criticism because family travels from all over the United States. Oh, so there's a lot of constraints in building a calendar, but they're listening and I really appreciate it. My policy committee has been delayed a couple times because of personal times out. Let's see, Deb, I'm out next Tuesday, right? Is that right?
The 27th
27th? Okay.
is it?
Put that out. I've got a doctor's appointment the 27th. So that's it for my report. Again, thank you, Linda. Appreciate your time.
All right. Okay, item C, our Executive Director of Finance report, Mr. Archibald.
Good evening, Board President, board members, superintendent, community. As you see in your packet, I provided my report. I'm just going to touch on a couple things. The donations we discussed earlier in our work session, so you'll see those for final approval. The practice field, we discussed that at the work session as well. We've received one quote as kind of a resurfacing, releveling, adding some topsoil. We're waiting for another quote. As soon as that comes in, we'll move forward, make a determination which way we want to go. I would say the good news is it's coming in a lot cheaper than we were anticipating for the turf route. So there may be room to possibly add the stadium into this as well and make sure they're both taken care of. And it'd be much cheaper than we were looking at just turf one of those fields. So as I get more information on that, I'll bring it forward. Mana, again, we're just working to try and get what's workable material out of that building into the other buildings and not necessarily just take stuff and store it in another place where we're trying to put that.
Hoard it somewhere else.
We've seen that.
Utilize it,
It's
yes.
a process we're trying to move as fast as possible, but again, we're just want to make sure we're not moving and making our maintenance crew move stuff for the reason and things of that nature. The HVAC at Beach and CMS is in process. We got back our narrative for our design and costs. They've risen in the last 4 months. So the sooner we can order these parts that we need to order, we can lock in prices, and because it's going to take 6 or 7 months to get some of these items. So it's all ESSER funded. So we're going to move forward with that, and hopefully CMS and Beach will have complete brand new HVAC systems.
Have you already picked out who is doing it?
So we hired a general contractor to kind of an engineering firm out of Durango to kind of lead this. And so they gave us a narrative with different options and kind of gave us the best solution based on other meetings we've had prior to this. So
Would you please make sure that that they have a bond in the
Oh, yeah.
contract and that there is a completion date with issues if they don't do it?
Right.
They 10%, whatever.
Okay.
We need to have that in the contract. We don't need to end up like we did with Mason.
Well, to that point,
Yeah, to that.
we actually talked with the owner, talked with the people over there. And obviously there were some issues during installation that we had to repair. There was some damages, cut wires. So we're anticipating anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 there that they're taking off the top. Due to the completion in the contract, it was supposed to be due August 1st, and weather and other things permitting outside of our control, it didn't get done in time.
Let's just make sure that our completion date takes all of that into
Right.
consideration,
being-
because it was really damaging for Mason to
Right.
have that going on during.
That being considered, we'll probably see another credit in the range of about $10,000 for that because it wasn't done in time.
Okay,
So,
I'm thinking about the kids.
oh yeah, no, I agree. That wasn't the plan.
Right.
Site will make sure,
Okay,
as you suggested.
Thank you.
we'll put that in contract.
I appreciate it.
All right, That's all I have for now. We have capital reserve requests later on in the action item. Are there any questions or concerns?
No, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Carol.
Thank you, Kyle.
Okay, let's have the Executive Director of Student Academic Services, Mr. Farr.
Good evening, board.
Hello.
In my report, as I always do, is I reference our district strategic plan to highlight the goals. We're going to continue doing that as we go forth, particularly as we start to gather the data that we need to monitor those efficiently. We have actually begun that process. We've just finished our first round of STAR assessment data for the beginning of the year. So we have a baseline from which to work. This is new district-wide, and it's pretty exciting because we haven't had that type of diagnostic information in a while. And I'm looking forward to having that available so we can actually use it in an actionable way throughout the year and make all the necessary changes and adjustments we need to so that we can move our kids along.
Thank you.
The second item that is highlighted in my report is UIP development. That's Unified Improvement Plan development and accountability presentation. As soon as I'm done here, I'll introduce to you Andy Swanson and Aaron Lofton from Colorado Department of Education. They're here to kind of run through our accountability information and talk to you about just what that means exactly for the district. So that will be coming up here momentarily. Within your report also, I provided you in similar fashion to our work session, just another look at our CMAS, SAT, PSAT data for the spring of 2022. That really isn't a change from what you saw at the work session, but it's just to keep that in front of you, keep it fresh so that you guys can have it. An additional part of the information that you received in your packet was our school performance frameworks reports for the district and for each school. And again, like I said, our folks from CDE will be talking about that momentarily. Another item to address is our PD Fridays. As we stated at the time of our calendar adoption, we've utilized these. Initially, we've started to work on the breaking down of standards so that our teachers know exactly where they need to be. We're going to take this a step further. And Mr. Burris and I have had this conversation. We're actually going to bring in some outside resources to help with that process because we really need to emphasize the level of urgency that we have to be in on a regular basis. And we feel like outside resource can help us with that. So that will be something that's coming up and we'll probably be discussing further throughout October in our next board meeting. So, last thing that I wanted to touch on was something that Mr. Burris has already mentioned, as well as we conducted our first or our initial district accountability meeting for the 2022-23 school year. Had a very robust turnout. And first of all, to those that are in our audience that are participating in that, back here, I want to say thank you. Historically, that has been a tough get as far as getting enough people to the table to start having these conversations. But we have a full slate, and it's, like I said, have that support and that amount of people that are genuinely interested in helping us move the district along. So
They're going to be doing our charter school.
they'll review a charter school application before it comes to you guys. They'll make a recommendation.
Thank you.
They'll do other things too. They'll have a look at UIPs once those are completed, and then some other things that we have throughout the year. So that group is largely, their role is to review things and provide recommendations to you, the school board, so that you can make decisions about things that we need to move forward on, such as charter school applications, et cetera. But that meeting will move forward now. It'll be the first Monday of every month. Our next meeting is slated for October 3rd at 5:30 p.m. So those are the few items that are listed in my report. What I'd like to do right now at this time is introduce Aaron Lofton and Andy Swanson from the Colorado Department of Education. They are here to talk to us about accountability and school performance frameworks. And answer any questions that you guys might have. So, Jim, you're answering all questions. Oh, is that right? Okay.
Mr. Farr.
Good evening, everyone, board president, board superintendent, community. We're very excited to be here. My colleague Erin, she's my phone a friend in case you do have difficult questions. I can't answer that. But my name is Andy Swanson. I'm a school district transformation manager with Colorado Department of Education. I get the opportunity to work with mostly state and federally identified schools and districts across the states. I have a caseload that actually varies from I have some schools on the Eastern Plains all the way to I get to support you all as the support coordinator for CDE down here. So very excited to be down here. We've been down here for a couple of days working with district leadership, some of your principals on their improvement planning, and we'll be tomorrow as well. And just have to say, very excited about the energy level that people have this year and coming out and the foundations that are being laid and discussing with principals what their plans are for the year. And just seems like a lot of energy that's positive and going in the right direction. So we're always excited to see that and see the momentum that's being built this year with that. So just want to have an opportunity to talk to you all about where we are in accountability across the state. It's what Aaron and I have talked about, this being probably the most confusing year in state accountability that we've experienced.
Ever?
And I think, and we're vested in this work on a regular basis. And so for people, it's not their 100% job to be focused on state accountability. But I think it's always important to be able to discuss some of these things, answer questions as we kind of go through this transitional aspect of this year out of the pause of the pandemic. So tonight, what we'll go through is just a few aspects. Oh, yes. Good. Thank you.
That's always helpful.
That is always helpful within that. So just want to talk very briefly about just what are we talking about with the transition back to accountability, which this year is the transitional year, and we'll discuss some of those aspects. Really go into a little bit on school and district performance frameworks. Happy to answer any questions about those as well. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail at first on each of those, but happy to answer any questions you have. The possibility of accountability pathways associated with accountability, and then what supports are available if you all choose to take advantage of any of those. So the state legislature did pass in the spring a law to resume the state accountability system. If you remember, when the pandemic started in March of 2020, we obviously didn't have state assessments that year. And then last year, we weren't able to run frameworks within that. So this will be the first year since 2019 that CDE did run performance frameworks. Those performance frameworks were ran. However, these ones that just came out due to last year's state assessment results, schools and districts did not move forward on the accountability clock or on performance watch automatically. We'll discuss that more as we go, but that is kind of one of the transitional aspects as we're heading back into normal accountability. We are offering the request to reconsider process as normal. And the other thing that the state legislature put into place was an expansion of grant opportunities to schools that have improvement plans. If you're aware of the types of ratings that schools get, performance is the top, improvement is next, then priority improvement and turnaround. Traditionally, priority improvement and turnaround were considered part of the accountability clock. Improvement is not, but they are, however, improvement schools are now eligible for some more state grants and supports that are going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Just looking at statewide trends as we think about, okay, it's been a long time since 2019, and we've all seen a lot of effects due to the pandemic and what's happened with accountability and test results in that. You can just see over the state, I think it's always helpful to see the context in which we're discussing. We have 54% of the schools in the state that have a performance plan, and a 17% improvement, 7% priority improvement, 2% in turnaround. And then you'll notice 17% of schools had insufficient state data. That actually, as we look at how that's changed over time, from the light blue line being 2019, the dark blue line 2021, and then the green one is our current one, 2022. You can really see, if you look at that insufficient state data, that's a significant increase. And there's a reason for that, and that's going to actually impacts your performance frameworks, because you did have 4 schools that showed insufficient state data. That does not mean that they did not test their students in 2022, this last spring. It has a lot to do with how are we calculating frameworks and the impact of 2021 participation rates when we're dealing with growth. So when you think of a school, in order to get a school performance framework, they have achievement, which is how did students achieve on a test, but there's also growth, which measures how did a student grow from 21 to 22. Well, as we all know, one, a lot of kids didn't test in 21 due to the impact of the pandemic. And we also only in 21 tested every other grade level. So that meant there was over half of our students that never tested in 21. So those students couldn't get gross scores, meaning we had a lot of smaller schools that didn't have enough students that had gross scores in order to be able to get a framework. So therefore, that's why a large increase in insufficient state data. I can go into that in more detail, but that's just, I don't want you to think you see insufficient state data and that therefore the schools didn't assess their students. There's a lot more factors involved.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Does that mean that we are deemed because I know we have these schools that have low number of students and that's why you have these. Does that ding us as a district?
No, not in this case this year. So also the other thing is there is traditionally in school performance frameworks, districts and schools that have low participation rates can be decreased due to participation. That was not
I knew it was
something.
before, but I didn't know.
It will, we anticipate that happening again next year. That did not happen this year. So you will see some frameworks that say low participation on them. That's not a ding. That's not you got this plan type because of that. It's simply a flag to say you didn't have over 95% of your kids counted in participation. So be cautious when you are analyzing these results. It's not a ding. It doesn't have anything to do with accountability. So no schools were harmed due to any of that insufficient state data.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. You have all of these performance frameworks in your board packets and they're all publicly available, but wanted to show 2019 versus 2022 preliminary school performance frameworks. We say preliminary, they do not become final until the state board votes to approve them in the December board meeting. So they are preliminary at this point. But you can see to that insufficient state data part, you can notice some of your schools, Battle Rock, Louis Oriola, and Pleasant View all had insufficient state data.
We have low student count.
They have low student count. That doesn't ding them at all. In fact, as far as in the system goes, they are treated according to like their 2019 plan type for all intents and purposes within that. You can see that there were some shifting within these, and you'll notice, like I noted, the low participation flag. That is again just the flag. Use caution when using those results and saying this is the performance of the school because there might be some representation issues involved in that. Another reason why, yes, you got a new plan type, but this does not move any school forward on the accountability clock toward anything having to do with the state board because it's a transition year back. Next year, we anticipate that will continue within that. So a good example is the district, you'll notice, is accredited with priority improvement. Clock status is year 2. If you looked back on 2019, it would also say clock status year 2. It's a long time to be in the same year, but that is just due to that transitional aspect and the fact that we haven't had frameworks in a few years within that. I do want to pause on this one for any, if there are questions specifically on here, because there's a lot within this. And of course, at the end, we can also answer any questions. But if anybody had any specific questions.
I'm sorry.
You're good. Yeah, that's great.
So if they're charter schools, we don't have any control, if you will, over their teaching and therefore their student learning. So does that go against our school district?
You are the authorizer of those charter schools.
So we have to keep our finger in that.
Yep.
So,
Along the lines of what's ever in your charter contract and the ways in which you're holding them accountable for results.
there you go, Mr. Burrs. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the only thing I'll notice is you'll see on the clock status, the on watch. As of 2018, in order for a school to exit the accountability clock, they had to have 2 consecutive years of an improvement or performance plan type. So the on watch means they have successfully gotten that first year of improvement or performance and they need a second year. Now you can see there's 2 odd examples there of Mesa and Montezuma-Cortez Middle School, where you'll notice they do have the turnaround plan, but they're still considered on watch. That does mean they can still get that second consecutive year, where if they do get an improvement or a performance plan type, that will allow them to exit the accountability clock. We'll talk a little more detailed about Mesa's situation here in just a second. But that turnaround plan type does not mean they lose that ability to get a second consecutive year. Like I said, it's an incredibly confusing year where time stopped 3 years ago in some circumstances. And we pretend that 2019 and 2023 are back-to-back years for that. Here you can see this in just more of a table form of your school ratings, what they were in 2019. And now in 2022, you can see the shift from basically performance to insufficient state data. We again anticipate We'll be able to run 3-year frameworks next year, and we'll be able to obviously have students who tested this year, who tested last year, who will test this year to give you gross scores. We anticipate those insufficient state data to become plan types in most scenarios.
Just a quick question. Are we missing one of those? Are we missing Battle Rock on our one in our packet?
We are.
We are.
Okay, just making sure that I was on the right page. Okay.
And if I remember right, there's not a lot of information on their school performance framework, but they do have one. So I think it's very minimal because of the insufficient state data. You do have 5 schools that are on that accountability clock in various regards of where they're at in these. Again, ISD means insufficient state data. So Battle Rock continues to be year 2 on watch. Kemper is in year 1 of priority improvement. Mesa we'll talk about again, that year 5 is significant. The middle school is in year 2. Kiva is year 2 on hold. And Southwest Open School SWOs is in improvement, but they're year 2 because they're also in that situation where they may end up being able to come out of performance watch. Just want to give you a little accountability clock background that's actually important for any school or the district that might get to year 5, but this is especially true for, you'll see Mesa is on a turnaround plan year 5 on watch. And so year 5 is a significant year. Because after 5 years of being in priority improvement or turnaround, so not this year, but it might be next year for Mesa, that does kick in the accountability pathway system in state law in which the state board has to direct in action to the local board regarding that school. So I just want to spend a minute of just previewing for you so you have a heads up of what may be something we have to discuss further next year. And I'll discuss that timeline and what that looks like. But in that scenario, if you were to have a school that then gets a 5th year priority improvement or turnaround, it would issue in a hearing for that spring with the state board in which you all in the district, in which the state board would consider the district proposal, in which I would be working very closely with your district leadership, school leadership, you all, with what pathway makes the most sense for the school to put a pathway plan together to present to the state board. They would consider that. The state review panel is an outside set of educators that would visit the school to give their opinion on which pathway makes sense. And then the commissioner would give her report on more of a factual data-based accounting. And then ultimately the state board would direct an action to you as the local board of what the pathway should be for that school. I'll talk a little more about what the options they have on the table, just so you at least have an initial reminder. And if we come to it next year, we can have that conversation more thoroughly within that. But they would get that action, and then the school would continue to get ongoing support and progress monitoring from myself, in which we would have just progress monitoring reports to the state board on a couple of times a year until the school exited performance watch or a possibility for a rehearing a couple of years later. So just wanted to give you, like, that would be the flow of what would happen in the case of Mesa possibly next school year within that. To that end, the one that I wanted to give you all of these different options, but what are the options that are on the table for the state board to consider? They have to direct at least one of these pathways. And we typically say for the district to be presenting what they think is the best option for improvement for the school. It is the one on the left, which is district run school action. So there's a possibility for partial or full management by a public or private entity to go for innovation status, close the school, convert the school to a charter, or the new one that was just passed by state legislature in the spring to convert the school to a community school. Those are all options or a combination of options. You all have actually, some of you probably remember this, have been through this before in 2017 with the district and with Manaw, in which you went forward with a partial management with the University of Virginia, and I believe Relay Graduate School of Education was involved. That would be a very similar option that you could go after, or something completely different in that scenario.
What does that community school mean? What is that?
Community school is a very loosely defined in statute at this point, I will say, but it is growing a lot of steam in the educational world as far as really building in resources and community buy-in for what does the community want that school to be. And so a lot of cases, it is more wraparound services and supports for students beyond just what's happening in traditional classroom. We're really becoming a hub, the school becoming a hub of community where students' needs are met and community needs are met, family needs are met within the school building, outside of school hours, different ways, really turning it into a hub of the community while also focusing on, at the same time, so meeting those needs of students to allow them to better also meet the academic needs of students within that. But it can mean a variety of different things within that. the state statute limits to things like 75% of the community is involved in their voice and hiring a community school coordinator within that. But it has a lot more than that within it if you're going to do it right within that. But that is a possibility at this point. Just to be really clear on what are the two possibilities for Mesa's timeline, if they have the next year's school performance framework, this time next year when that comes out, if they have a performance or improvement plan type, they are off the accountability clock and they are out of their year 5 status because
What is
they're on.
priority improvement?
What's that?
Priority improvement?
No, turnaround or priority improvement would keep them in that status. So if they get priority improvement or turnaround, then they will have the accountability hearing in the spring of 23 with the state board. Typically, that's a February, March, and then we would spend a lot of time in the next school year really building out what you all think is the best plan for that school. Last couple of things I have, there are supports available, like I said, and you have this in your packet. Within that, there is a grant that we call the EASY grant. It's actually not all that easy, but it is Empowering Action for School Improvement, in which that's available, which there are a lot of different supports available for any school or district who is either state or federally identified. So that would be the district as well as most of your schools would be eligible for different aspects of funding based on where they're prioritized on the list. These supports range from diagnostic reviews for an outside external group to come into the school for a few days and say, all right, here's what's going well, and here's areas we would prioritize. To there's school level programs that are cohort based, there's district level improvement strategies. There is a pathway planning grant that would be available for Mesa that we've already discussed, possibly might be a good one to apply for to help support some of that work. There's a lot of different ones there. There is also a school board support if you all wanted support from an external group on some of the governance and structure within that. And then our supports, improvement planning support, Aaron is very good, especially with UIPs at the district and school level and being able to support your leaders. We have prioritized technical assistance, the accountability process. And then we can also provide some more informal, but really on the ground diagnostic review processes that we can provide for free at times. If I can wrangle a couple of colleagues down here with me within that with any of that. So and other school-based supports that might be available for you all. You have our contact information. We're always happy to help. And again, you all are one of our priorities to be able to support you down here with everything that honestly, all that you are trying to tackle and the great plans that you're trying to put forward with that. So. That might be a bit of a drink from fire hose, so that's what I have. Any questions that Aaron or I can answer?
I think that was pretty solid.
Yeah.
For presentation.
Great.
Thank you, Amy.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm proud to have my
you.
information, so thank you.
For all of that.
We'll probably be seeing you a lot.
Yes, we'll be available. Yeah,
Yeah.
excited to come down again.
Okay. All right, Executive Director of Human Resources, Ms. Eldridge.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Burris, Montezuma-Cortez School District staff, and community members. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you and present my board report, which I have reviewed, updated, and sent to you. There are a couple of key updates that I would like to review. One being Ms. Ann Lobos is here to attend the district's compliance audit tomorrow, along with myself, with USI's compliance team. We are approximately 40% complete with this audit. After tomorrow, we should have it all completed. Once the final audit is completed, a findings report will be presented and submitted to the board. Anne is also here to answer any questions in regards to the ancillary presentation that I uploaded to you that you had a chance to review. As mentioned earlier, the stop loss hasn't been received yet, and so we need an extension on the action item to vote on which direction we're going with our insurance. Last item under insurance is the Family Medical Paid Leave Act that we discussed at the work session. I did move forward and notify all employees of the district's decision to opt out of the paid leave. That has been, it was sent out to all staff on September 8th. I've only received one returned undeliverable and contacted that individual by phone. There's only been one other individual contact me with any questions. I was able to meet with her and answer their questions. I think the information which I presented in my board report outlined in detail what the act is and why the district is, why we're recommending that we opt out of it. Also, the steps that we need to follow are listed in my board report as well. And if you have any questions to follow up on the family medical leave paid 12 weeks, please do not hesitate to ask prior to voting today as an action item to opt out of that. Also, see an update on Voco Vision that we've partnered with in regards to special education teachers. We are receiving a very positive response back from our principals and our special ed department on their assistance. That is working very well. And the one last item that I wanted to address was the current openings with the district. And if you compare the current openings that I submitted Wednesday by noon and the actual consent calendar that you will be voting on today, there was approximately 11 positions filled and another 7 substitutes hired. So we are making progress on filling all of these open positions. They do include district-wide positions and nutrition services, bus drivers, and custodians. And just as a positive note, we hired 3 custodians just today, which will be on the next consent calendar. So we are making strides to filling all of these positions. I wanted to keep my board report very short and simple. If you have any questions for Ann Robles, she's available to answer. Otherwise, if you have any questions for me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I'll just do it super quick.
Okay.
Update, so like as mentioned previously. So good to see. So as mentioned previously, we do not have the finalized stop loss numbers yet. We have an illustrated quote from Anthem, but they did quote a contract that was less ideal, so we did go back to them. So what we will have next time are more firm numbers. They just need more data, especially with Symetra. We just implemented with them and now we're turning around and saying, hey, you have your renewal. So luckily we can pull claims data to give them that, but we just want to make sure that they want to make sure that they have enough information that they're really rating you. So that's really where we're going to be at with that. I know that, you know, I'm not going to go through my entire presentation today because this will be something that we will address in the next meeting, but feel free to review it. It is basically going to be comparing the ancillary quotes that we got back from Anthem and then also Sun Life. So you currently have Sun Life as your life insurance carrier. Anthem can also, you know, quote some of the voluntary lines. And so there's just kind of a comparison that if you wanted to either stay with Sun Life for all of your benefits or transition to Anthem for some of them. I will state that Anthem is offering a discount of 70 cents off of your PEPM admin fee for if you do vision and then the voluntary critical illness accident and hospital indemnity. So that'll break down your rates of the savings. Thank you. And the other thing is that the vision on both plans are coming in. You know, both the quotes that we have are going to save the employees quite a bit of money. And then we also have replacements for COBRA and your HSA, FSA. So like I said, I won't go into a ton of detail today. I'll review a lot of this with Cindy, and then that way when we come back on the 4th, she'll be able to make a final recommendation based off of this information. But it is here for your review. So if you have questions, feel free to let me know. I will be here tomorrow for quite a bit of the day, or you can always reach out to me via email.
Okay,
Thank you.
all righty. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see, I'm just gonna throw this in here. Do we have any of our administration at school level want to address the board with anything? I just thought I would ask. You don't have to. Okay, board request the reports.
Don't everybody jump at once.
Did everybody receive from CASB the resolution book? Please read that and inform me at our work session how you want me to vote, please.
I think that was the CASB resolution.
Right. It came out yesterday or the day before.
Okay. Get that to you. Okay.
Well, I got it. I just need to
No, but I mean,
know how you want to
how we
vote.
want-
Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to think here. Weeks are going by so fast.
Yeah.
And I am, okay, so if we, what's that?
Board reports.
Yeah, we're board reports and requests.
I did attend the Zoom deal for CASB for the SRO process that they're starting throughout the state. So the biggest, it was an hour-long deal and stuff, and the biggest part of the conversation was basically just the hiring process of SROs. Really what they were talking about was, so didn't really get into a lot of meat and stuff, I didn't think. Mostly the hiring process they felt like they should be looking at with SROs. And once that comes out from CASB, those are just recommendations. So
I have set in on a couple of appeals processes through CHASA, where what they are is a student has either been denied some sort of access to athletics because of a CHASA bylaw. Usually it's a non-bona fide family move or a waiver of some kind. I'm gonna sit in on another one. That's part of the committee that I'm on with CHASA. So those go kind of controversial at times, but they have to be
Sports
done.
controversial.
I'll jump in with one, Emily. We today have made a decision about a athletic director for the high school. We didn't steal him because I didn't call the superintendent, but he comes to us from Memphis. He is a retiree from Texas who has lots of experience with coaching, a lot of experience with administration of athletics, and I'm real excited. We need to meet him yet, or I need to meet him yet, but I'm excited to have that position filled, and potentially, if he accepts, as we have. He did? Okay, so.
Is he on our consent calendar?
Pardon me?
Is he on our consent calendar?
He's not, because it just happened this afternoon.
Well. Yeah.
So you'll have to trust us on that. But it's exciting to be at this place.
It is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have. Do you have anything you want to report on from the high school?
Oh. Sorry. No, I don't think so.
Nothing? Everything going smoothly?
Everything's going pretty good.
Okay, good job. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
All right, okay, so we will move on to citizens address the board. So if you need to address the board, we have a little ticket here to fill out. So I will call Judy Schoenemeyer.
Starting now. We have a clock on here.
Everyone,
There you go.
my name is Judy Schoenmeyer. I have two grandchildren in the school system and one who will be when she's old enough. I came tonight because I have a concern, but I'm encouraged by the reports I've heard about some exciting things that are going on. My concern is that I have wondered about student learning loss and what's being done to address it. So I read the board's public record, the minutes, for every meeting you've had since January. From this record, it appears that the board doesn't have much concern about the students' learning loss over the past 2 years because the record doesn't show that. There's no record that the board discussed the problem, how to assess it, or how to address it. There's also no record of how the district is using the federal funds that are supposed to be provided for this purpose. I don't know how many of you saw this, but a recent national survey reported that 9-year-olds will take an average of 3 years to catch up because of the learning loss. There's nothing in the board minutes to indicate that you've discussed that at all. And I wonder how our students are doing. The other concern I have is that as I read these minutes, I didn't see anything about the board showing support for academic performance and those students that performed well academically. I expected that in the spring, there'd be something in the minutes about the board acknowledging how many scholarships were awarded to our students, other honors possibly. There isn't anything. From this, the community could conclude that the board doesn't care. Today's students are tomorrow's future. They're all of our future. The community needs to know that the board cares about their ability to be successful, no matter what they decide to do. I believe you all do care, or you wouldn't be on the school board. But it needs to be on the record, the discussions you're having about these things. And I hope you are having discussions about them, but they need to be on the record so families and teachers and students know that you care. When you became board members, you all took an oath to support the laws of the state of Colorado. I believe you violated that oath and the Colorado Sunshine Law by holding private meetings to discuss board public business. Is my time up?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Anyway, I urge you, please have discussions in public so the public knows you care about our students and what they're doing and their performance, their well-being. Thank you.
Not with protocol, but I will respond. The Colorado Sunshine Law indeed says and dictates how many board members can be in the same place at the same time. I believe Ms. Schenemeyer is referring to 24-6-402-2A. The problem is we operate under 24-6-402-2B. We are not a state public body. We are a local public body. And as such, we are allowed to have meetings. I am allowed to have up to 3 people at the same meeting as long as it's open to the public, and I don't have to advertise it. But I would direct you to 24-6-402-2B for an answer to your question.
Respond to that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then. Mr. Burris would, like as far as, I'll probably have you follow up with a couple of her questions.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, next up, we have Lance McDaniel.
Good evening, board. It is my belief that the statement on the masthead of every correspondence that comes from this body, every student, every day, means that every student, every day should be respected. Every student, every day should feel safe. Every student, every day should be comfortable and they're coming to school. It's also my belief with the increase in concern over attendance, that this is very important for the schools to provide. Now, we were informed, or at least this is my understanding, that policies that you guys adopted would basically be the CASB policies. My problem with that is on your instructional time period thing at the school was not a tweak to the CASB policy. You inserted one word, changed one word, and completely reversed the purpose of that policy. So we have groups of students, LGBTQ plus 2SI students. We have students from the reservation. We have students that aren't comfortable in coming to school. And now we're forbidding them to spend time at lunch with each other. It's lunch, for crying out loud. It's not a lesson in anarchy. It's not a lesson in how to be queer or lesbian or anything else. And this policy is insane. If you want attendance and if you want people to come to school, these students need to feel like they're wanted. This policy discriminates against the 10% of the students who are LGBTQ plus. It discriminates against the students from the reservation who come to school 8 hours a day. And then instead of allowing a lunchtime meeting or lunchtime get together or just a time to eat with their peers, you want to add another hour or two onto the end of their 8-hour day. Now, remember, a lot of these students, especially from the reservation, are already spending 3 hours a day on the bus.
Time's up, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. Jeff Wilson.
We put you on the spot.
Did you not fill this out? Did
I filled it
someone
out.
put your name on?
As far as working for attendance and that, we're working, what we're trying to do is set up a situation where we don't just contact the parents when the kids are in trouble. And I would also encourage the school board and the people, if you've got a student that you've identified as being problematic, reach out to them on positive things as often as you can. Also reach out to the parents positively. I've started having pretty good results by identifying students that have problems. I will talk to them about their problems, but I will also identify things that are positive. And then I give them some kind of reward. One of the things I've been doing is getting coupons from Handy Mart for ice cream. They seem to enjoy it. I also try to reward the parents because I want those parents to keep encouraging the kids. So I would just like to see the school adopt a more positive behavior program. And that's all I have to say. So.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thank you. Okay, Michael Bilagodi with the Mountain Ute Tribe.
Good. Greetings, attendees, greetings, Honorable Tom Burris, Superintendent, Honorable Board President Sherry Noyes, and Vice President Sherry Wright, Ms. Cynthia Eldridge, HR Director, and Honorable members of the board, Ms. Deborah Ramsey, and this young person here, student representative, Anuka Arunarana.
Annika Naranja, you're close.
And to those members of the community throughout Cortez, and also the Youth Mountain Youth Tribe community. That means good day. That's the Youth Mountain Youth Tribe language. I want to say thank you. The purpose today for me is to introduce myself. My name is Michael Stephan Belagatti, and I am originally from a small town community called Tuba City, Arizona. This is my 4th week in the state of Colorado, and I can report to Coloradans, it's been a good 4 weeks. I will report to the board that it's been an honor so far to work with Mr. Tom Burris. Ms. Deborah Ramsey has been wonderful, and Ms. Cynthia Eldridge has also been wonderful. Mr. Eldridge, the transportation director, has been superb. During the CSC meeting, we did get to meet District D Representative Stacy Hall. It's good to see you again, ma'am.
Good to see you.
Yeah, and it's an honor for me to serve within the communities of Holyoke, Colorado, and as well as it's an honor to build bridges and alliances with the community members of Cortez, Colorado. I'm learning a lot, and I'm looking forward to a successful school year. I did write an email today to members of the board, of which I hope the superintendent and the executive secretary will forward those letters to everyone here in attendance. I understand I've only got 3 minutes, about 30 seconds now. And I am really looking forward to changing the rates of graduation. For Native Americans in America, that rate is 40%. That means that 6 out of 10 Native American students will not graduate on time. I look forward to building the bridges, no matter how difficult the topics are stressful. I'm looking forward to building these alliances and building a good, successful school year for all students, pre-K to 12 and higher education. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so you're gonna have to help me. Dwight.
Dwight Largie.
Largie?
Largie, yes.
Okay, Largie, okay.
Let me try to follow Michael Milagodi. My name is Dwight Largie, and would like to say Yate. I'm Dene, and some of you might be Dene as well, baby. And out there on YouTube. Kiani Mishlo, it's going to Bashishi, and I'm from this region, Four Corners region, and I came to Ute Mountain Ute Tribe to, like Michael said eloquently, that we're here to support the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and do nation building and nation building. And how do we create a type of environment, economic environment through education pipeline so that it can actually institute a stronger economy within the Four Corners region, looking at Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and Mexico. So we're here to serve the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and work with RE1 School District as well as San Juan School District, who services Ute Mountain Ute children. So we're here to work with every one of you, and we're very fortunate to work with Mr. Burris and meet all of you too as well, the leadership here, and as well as the leadership capacity within the RE1 School District. And then we look forward to working with each and one of you. Ms. Stacy Hall would look forward to working with you from our district. And we just want to say that we are supportive of what you're doing for our students. And we're also looking forward to seeing how we can innovate with approaches to education services and how we can create leaderships, abilities in this area as well, having them become entrepreneurs in the world, globalization, looking at how we can develop those particular sectors and industries that would be helpful to this region. So I'm from here again, I'm from this region. I run cattle from here, and I do horse breaking and so forth. So it's kind of a fun area to be in. So I'd appreciate that you work with ourselves and as well as our staff too, as well as the education. And we look forward to building a good partnership, moving forward and working on all of the different areas. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I just want to say that it almost makes me cry. Like just hearing all that and then just knowing that we can finally get it right. It looks like between the.
Just help us
Yeah.
get it right.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, Lynette Ward.
Oh, I've been away a while, guys. I just came tonight to tell you how extremely proud I am of all the changes and your dedication to our children's education and academics. I know it's really hard for you right now because through any remodel, rechange, or even devastations, there's hard sacrifices that has to be made, and some of them are heartbreaking. I have absolute faith that our renewal process will be amazing. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Lynette.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, gosh. Okay, nobody else? Okay, that's all I have for citizens address the board. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Thanks.
Really quick, before we move on to the action items, are the board members all up on their devices at this point?
I'm not.
You're good.
The last vote,
What?
show it online.
You gave me the one I gave you? Okay.
And are
The
you,
last vote we did didn't show up on my screen, but I'm logged in.
Are you in the one that gives you the access to, okay.
He's got executive content.
It's,
We'll see if it works.
yeah,
we'll give it a try. Bear with us.
there it goes. I'm on. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Okay, action items. Do I hear a motion for the personnel consent calendar?
I recommend that the personnel consent calendar be approved as written and contains all of our new employees.
I'll make a motion to accept the personal consent calendar.
I think we need to make an amendment to one of the names. Is.
We would need to get a second first.
Oh,
I did a second.
That's second,
Okay.
okay. You can just get that to Cynthia, I think.
okay.
Who is it? Is it?
It's one of the.
We can't
coaching assi- It's one of the coaching assignments.
Okay. It's just,
It's just the wrong last name.
okay,
of The person.
that, I just want to make sure we weren't putting somebody different. in.
No.
I can make that edit and re-provide you guys a new copy.
Okay.
Any principals, if you're planning anything for, I see on this calendar here, we have quite a few teachers that moved on the scale and stuff. If you plan anything for that and want to celebrate that, let us know. I'd be glad to come to something. I think that's pretty cool that if teachers that moved another step up for the master's degree or whatever it might be, that's neat.
Great. Continue to stay.
Voting is now open.
It's still not showing up.
And it didn't.
There it is. There it is. There it is.
Oh, mine's
There
on.
it is.
Mine came out, yeah.
Running.
Just take a minute.
Has to go somewhere and come back, I guess.
Yeah. It's like a postal system.
That's it.
Votes in and it's unanimous. It passes. Thank you.
Okay.
I think we're.
Action item B, the Montezuma School to Farm Project MOU for the year 2022 and 2023.
Madam President, you'll find the MOU for the school farm in your packet, and I have met with the representatives. And this is a continuation of something that's been done. I recommend that we approve the MOU.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve this MOU for the school to farm project.
A second.
Okay, I have a question. It seems like every year it grows more and more and more. And pretty soon we're not going to have softball field. Are
We
we
have a
putting-
fence. We have a fence
You
now.
know, I'm just saying, it's just, you know, at some point, we're gonna have to say, you've expanded enough.
Yes.
And then my next question is, what are we doing with all the vegetables that we're growing?
Oh, they're eating them.
Who's eating them?
The kids,
The kids are, what do they do in the summer?
Yeah, they, yeah, they sell them. You know,
And then the money goes,
probably
I'm
back
sorry,
into,
I'm just-
probably back
I'm-
into school to farm, possibly.
how? It doesn't come to you?
All good questions.
Just saying,
I'll check. Want me to check?
Because I know
into
they
that?
pay for their,
Please.
some of, they pay, we pay into some of it. I think they also pay.
But, you know, it's just interesting, and I knew that in the fall and the spring, they ate stuff when it was growing, but the summer. And I knew at one time they were going to farmer's market and selling stuff, but where does the money go? You know, Drew? Sorry, I put you on the spot, didn't I? I just keep saying. Okay. All right, that's.
I will look into that. That's right. I'll have an answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Man,
And also, I guess I'd like to see where that money that we contribute to that, where a budget on that.
Because, well, I think it says in there, don't we donate
It says a total amount, it doesn't.
26,000.
How's it go?
Is that all seed, or is that
Salaries?
under some salaries for some people, or what is it? So I'd like to see.
you know, I was just, and I apologize, you have good questions and I'll follow up, but I was just following what was.
And then as far as the
Don't change things too much.
expanding, I think the only concern we really have is when the trees get too tall and we can't see the scoreboard for the
Right.
softball anymore.
Yeah.
But there's been discussion on
I've actually
when
talked,
that time comes around, what's gonna happen. But if we can think about it sooner than later, then we aren't.
Yeah, cross the bridge before we get to it.
And they came in and talked to me before they talked to Tom, and it's actually less money this year because they took Manon into consideration of that.
Oh,
funding,
okay.
so
Oh, okay.
one-
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Voting is open. Ms. Hart, did you mean to vote not present?
Ms. Hart?
Did you mean to vote not present?
Oh, did I?
Did you?
Oh, she wanted to leave it
I
at
clearly see.
7:20.
Did you want to change your vote? We'll let you.
Yeah, over on the top right hand. No,
no. We'll have to have another lesson.
Yeah.
No.
I think
can't help it.
that change, your vote only is up there for a little while. Yeah.
What would you like to vote?
Yes.
It passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, we have moved action item C to our October 4th special meetings. We will skip to the action item D, the FMLI opt-out resolution.
Madam President, the FMLI opt-out resolution, if Kyle and I figured this out, if every person in the school district did this, it cost $350,000 a month,
Remember what we came up with.
something astronomical.
Yeah.
And so my recommendation is that we opt out.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed this last time.
Okay, yeah, we had a report on this, our work session, our special meeting. So there are no more questions. We can call for them.
We don't
have to read.
Oh, motion,
Yes.
please.
We have to read it too.
Oh, yeah.
Resolution.
Stacy, do you have that resolution? Okay.
So do I need to read it first, or do we have to have a?
You should read it first and then vote on it.
Okay.
I mean, then make a motion.
Okay. Family and Medical Leave Insurance Program opt-out resolution, whereas in November 2020, Proposition 118 was passed, which led to the state-run paid family medical leave insurance family program. Whereas family provides workers 12 weeks of paid leave to take care of themselves or a family member during life events like injury, serious illness, or pregnancy. Whereas participating employers and employees will contribute premiums for family. Whereas the family becomes active on January 1, 2023. Whereas a family provides for local government employers to opt out of participating in the program. Whereas Montezuma-Cortez School District is a local government employer as defined under family. Whereas despite opting out of family, employees may still participate with the same rights and benefits as a self-employed individual. And whereas the funding saved by opting out can be used for a purpose that will benefit all employees. Now therefore, by the Board of Directors of Montezuma-Cortez School District hereby decline all participation in family and direct Montezuma-Cortez School District to take all steps necessary to comply with the requirements for the dedication and participation in family as required by law. Approved and adopted this 20th day of September 2022.
I make a motion to accept this resolution. I second it.
Right, those, okay.
We'll see if it comes up right this time.
Doug, whenever you're ready.
Online voting is open.
I'm looking at one else.
Here it is.
So. That's what I did before.
The vote's in, it's unanimous.
Okay, action item E, our capital reserve request for the snowplow attachment in the amount of $9,546.80.
Madam President, I would recommend this expenditure. I think Kyle has got a little bit to add to that.
So this, along with the new truck that maintenance got, we wanted to make sure that we had another plow to go with it for those days that we do have snow. I know Ray's talked to me before that they wanted to get another one to make sure that they can get to all the places they needed to in the mornings before school opened if we decided to have snow.
So this is a popper pickup,
Yep, this is for pickup.
and we're gonna get a lot of snow this year.
That's what we're hoping
There
for.
we go.
We're gonna buy it and hope it snows.
It's just the attachment.
We're
correct?
gonna use this.
It's just the attachment.
Just the attachment. That's correct.
It's
It does say at the bottom here, it says purchase 2 trucks for 124,000.
Yeah.
So is that typo or? Okay.
So it's.
Yeah, the amount requested is $9,546.80.
Okay. I saw that too, Cody. Thank you. I make a motion, we accept. Oh, we need to have it read. I'm sorry.
2022, 2023 capital reserve request to the school board. Date 9/20/2022. Funds available $154,227.28 coming out of account number 430-710-0735 amount requesting $9,546.80. Project description, maintenance, snow plow attachment, identified by a needs assessment. Multiple bids provided, business office confirmation funds are available, project coordinated with maintenance. Whereas the administration has need for an additional, is that amount right?
No, 9,000.
Okay, so that $9,546.80 for the purchase of a snowplow attachment. Now therefore be it resolved that $9,546.80 is authorized for expenditures from the capital reserve fund.
I make the motion to approve this as you read it, as it was read.
As read.
Yes, sir.
I second it.
Okay. Deb, whenever you're ready.
Wonder if you guys can see that on the screen. Voting's now open. Voting is, it passes unanimously.
It
Thank
comes up,
you.
but it doesn't stay there.
About 10
Okay.
seconds.
Action item F, the donation of Montezuma-Cortez Middle School Year of Service, War Foundation in the amount of $9,461.
Yeah, so board, we discussed this at our work session. I think that principal gave them a summary of what it was for, what they're gonna do with it, so.
Okay.
Madam President, I recommend that the donation for Montezuma-Cortez Middle School in year of service from the Lower Foundation for $9,461 be approved.
A second.
I hear a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah,
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the donation.
a second.
Okay. Okay. Okay, action item G, the donation. Oh, golly. Okay, Deb, whenever you're ready.
Online voting's available.
We will celebrate when I get it right.
Mhm.
The whole meeting.
It passes unanimously. Oh,
Stay for 6 seconds.
I messed it up. Okay, yes, it passes unanimously.
All right, now moving on to the donation for the Montezuma-Cortez Middle School. No, that's the other one. Oh, yeah, Year of Service, New Opportunities Foundation for $10,000.
Madam President, I recommend that the MCMS Year of Service donation from New Opportunities Foundation for $10,000 be accepted.
Yeah, and so this is the second part of that we discussed at the work session. The previous is for, I think, hoodies and some other clothing wear for that initiative. And then this is for the actual going on the trips and paying for all those items.
And stuff, okay.
So they're requesting I'm sorry, we need to vote on it.
We need a motion.
We need a motion first.
I move to accept the donation from the Lower Foundation for $10,000 for years of service in the school.
New opportunity.
New Opportunities Foundation. The other ones.
I second.
You had a question there?
I do. Is it $9,762 or is it 10,000?
It's both.
So
They're each separate.
There's a donation from Moore for
For 10, okay, and so then we are putting in 10,000?
No, this is a separate donation from a separate foundation for 10,000.
Okay, so
Two
so we're
foundations.
not doing it, okay,
New opportunities.
thank you.
This one's strictly the travel one, which I think is great.
That's next week. Thank you, Drew, for the heads up. Okay, thank you.
Online voting is now open.
You just need to read it better.
It passes unanimously.
Okay, do we? Any other business we need to? Nope.
Motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
And everyone say aye.
Okay. I adjourn this